What is up, DTube Steam blockchain? So today I want to talk about this topic. So I checked out how many more people would be on Earth 2025. So we are at around 7.7 billion now, and 2025 they estimate around 8.2 billion from what I saw. That would actually mean 500 million more humans on Earth. And I was sort of considering that a little bit. That's almost, I mean, not a whole new Europe, but almost. And if you look at the US, which I think is around 300, 400 million, I mean, that's a whole new North America in just, what is that? Just 5 years, 6 years? But I sort of looked back compared to 2009 up to now, that's around 700 more million. So it almost feels almost like it's a little bit of a speed up here, because that was in 10 years. This is almost going to be in 5 years. It sort of feels like. Now the numbers are not perfect, but it's kind of interesting to look at this and look at all these systems humans are using, and you sort of see how all the systems sort of needs to get updated. And it's interesting to look at this from the perspective of exponential curves. So you may say, well, 5 years, 2025, maybe that's 7 years, but I mean, but 2020 soon, yeah, 5 years almost, only because 2019 is almost over. So, okay, so 5 years. People may, what people usually do is they usually, oh, we go back now 5 years and see how the last 5 years was, 2015 up to now 2019, or you may say 2014. But not, but it's going to be different this time, the next 5 years, because this current time here, it has mainly been quite similar. And one of the reasons for that is because this has been a very big phase where people have been getting maybe their second smartphone or something like that, but they were still kind of not super impressive 2014, 2015. But now they're really starting to peak out, right? So that means that there's going to be way more, that it's going to be different now, because the technology is sort of going to speed up. It has this exponential sort of curve. And population, I mean, it also is this exponential curve, and it's going to be interesting to see how that is going to work, because there is going to be a lot of people then that is going to go to places. And I mean, I already see this chaos with sort of the first run of people that sort of came a few years ago, because people have transportation now. And you sort of see, so they're coming to this so-called modern world, and you have these old systems, this bigger infrastructure that is with the idea of a job, and getting value, how those old infrastructure is too slow, and it really doesn't give people with the access quickly. While it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to work now, because most of these people eventually, they are probably instantly going to move to, I mean, of course this is going to be newborn, but the current people that, like the old generation, of course, are going to transport and move around, and so on, as we sort of see in the world. And you sort of see how, yeah, you can see how a lot of people feel in like these older sort of systems that were more a bit local. They are going to struggle to cope probably with this, and they're probably going to realize eventually that they need to update their whole sort of infrastructure to modern technology, so they can easier get people uh, those basic level resources that they sort of need. And this comes here with it. So you have this rising population at the same time as we're getting better and better technology and smartphones. And Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of these, of course, are still sort of growing platforms, but they are really starting to have problems with scaling. And of course, we know this in the blockchain space also, that currently the idea of scaling to millions of people is not something that this current technology can do, and that the old sort of social media that is trying to keep up with all the new people that is being onboarded is like when we have onboarded people on those old social medias, and eventually people are going to realize the big flaws there, where in this sort of first run of onboarding people, you they couldn't really afford to have to even have any time over to sort of look at proof of brain stuff or anything like that, because there is so much busy to sort of look at scaling and just put new users on so-called on their platforms. And there is, of course, I mean, with all these people, it's I think that there probably is I mean, there's so many systems that sort of has to update so fast, so rapid. People's ideas of a lot of stuff that they have like super fixed in the head of what a job should be, what an education should be. And one big struggle in all of this, of course, is that smartphones is still sort of very expensive, or you have these, yeah, you still have these weird things where people have to sort of get a contract to get the new device, and you have a lot of locked software. And I really want to see, it's going to be interesting to really see if we can get away from that, and that people can easier get access to the latest devices without any weird things of a contract and all this. It's kind of weird that people still sort of in many ways need a phone number, because I mean, you can call people on Facebook, right? You can call people, you can send them voice memos, and you can communicate in so many new ways. So why do people text so much and call so much when you already can do those things for free? I think it's mainly because of I mean, in many ways, it's laziness, and but I think that how as the software gets improved and as the technology improves, eventually people are not really going to be running using contracts or anything of those things, especially not when we're moving up to 2025. And I think especially in the next few years, because I mean, there's going to be so many people that's going to be onboarded to new systems. I think especially the next or 2 or 3 years, we're really going to see people starting to have more abundant time over to. I think a big thing is going to be in all of this is a lot of people are probably compared to now. I think a big difference now, we have a few people that sort of are creators, especially in the video sphere, but there's not that many people that are sort of doing it as a job or a living. I think that 2025, we're probably going to see more people that are sort of, let's say, professional creators, and also people that have more knowledge, understanding of life, and also have a more sort of global, let's say, citizen perspective on things. Just, I mean, it's still going to take, of course, a long time, but I think that people are going to sort of starting to look at news or information more from a global perspective. I don't think that many people are doing it right now, because right now people still are just using internet to entertain themselves a little bit or stuff like that. But I think eventually there's going to be more incentive to sort of stay informed about a lot of things, because you'll be able to connect value to that, and you can create better systems where a person can become, if they want to be really productive, they can become way more productive, because the sort of the artificial intelligence is going to know exactly where you should be or what you should pay attention to. While right now it's quite easy to have many hours of free time in a day and not really know exactly where you should be, or maybe you want to consume a specific type of content, but there is not so many people doing that. While it probably is going to become more abundance here going forward, but yeah, it also is a little bit interesting to sort of look at that a lot of these systems, they're quite unaware right now, that they sort of have to update them fairly quick, because 500 more million people in 5 or 6 years on Earth, that eventually is going to make so a lot of people transport themselves, and a lot of people will need better, faster systems for doing a lot of, especially a lot of basic tasks. So it's going to be interesting to see sort of how this is going to play out. So yeah, have a great day, DTube, and stay